What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. Now, first of all, I know what you're thinking. What's up with the haircut? Well, I stopped at Supercuts yesterday. You know how that goes. Amateurs. But there's something about a bad haircut that brings out character. Now, it makes me feel better about myself. I don't know why. So, we're rocking a pretty bad haircut. Nonetheless, pull up a chair, Johnny. You too, Jack. And for the rest of you, you're going to have to watch on your internet devices. But we're about to shoot the shit. Now, you may notice I took a couple of extra days off from a normal uploading cycle. And that's because I wanted to go visit some friends and family in the place where I grew up. And every time I go back, it's a rude awakening and a soft reminder about why I left. You might wonder why I'm opening up with this little personal story here, but it has to do with what I want to talk about in this video, which is the programming that we have. And where I grew up in, the ethos in which I grew up in kind of has people living lifestyles that consist of working during the week and going out to a bar on Friday and Saturday, the same old bars, and drinking beer, or maybe going to somebody's house and playing cards and having a little get-together, marrying a high school sweetheart, having a couple of kids, and just living that life for the rest of your life. That's what they all do. And I decided I wanted to get the hell out of there. So I did. And when I go back, I realize why I escaped, why I had to leave. That's because I didn't want my programming to be that I drink my life away. I just indulge in alcoholism and pretend like it's a fun life. But that's what they do, That's what they're programmed to do. That's what their parents did. That's probably what their offspring will do when they grow up. I know that's a very boring story, but I know a lot of you guys out there have no social lives, no friends, no real family to speak of. Maybe you don't even have any emergency contacts when you go to fill out an application for a job or an apartment or a gym membership. But you got to understand something. In this day and age, the term social life is synonymous with the term drinking buddies. In the United States, that's what they do. They drink. They get together and they have drinks. That's a social life. Whether you're playing cards, singing karaoke, dancing, it's all just getting together to drink. That's what a social life is nowadays. That's what we're programmed to believe a social life is nowadays. So as I was saying, what I want to talk about in this video is a little bit of mental programming. This may be a strange video, but keep in mind these videos of mine I try to keep them unique and original, and sometimes they can be a little weird, but as long as they're educational and informative, then we're good. Now, more wide-scale programming that I see taking place, particularly in the realm that we are in and the zeitgeist that we're in. And we consume a lot of social media. It's no mistake that a lot of, just say beta programming is taking place. And when I use the term beta, I don't just simply mean beta as in beta male, alpha male. It's beta programming, but it also could mean beta male. alpha male. So what the current zeitgeist teaches you is that they say the previous zeitgeist is blue-pilled. In the current zeitgeist, you need to be educated on the way things are. You hear terms like modern women, or different concepts about divorce court and marriage and love and relationships. And the old programming was that you should follow the rules, you should do things the right way. You should get married, you should get your education, you should settle down, have kids, and this should be your life. That was kind of the Disney fairy tale. But what started to happen is, people are growing in terms of expressing their sexuality. Women are expressing their femininity and their sexuality in a different kind of way. They have programming just like men do. Maybe we'll get into sex kitten programming, boss babe programming. Sheesh, we can have a conversation about this stuff. First, I want to cover the masculine side. We had the traditional programming, which they now call blue-pilled programming. But, when you hear manosphere, like red pill type stuff, they are really just pushing a different side of that same beta programming, that same mental programming. Consider it like a computer. When you upload a file to a computer, the computer asks, do you want to allow this file to make changes to your device? You click yes, it makes changes to your device. So when you're programming your brain, you're making changes to yourself. So what they did was they told you the traditional programming, the way of doing things, and people were doing it. And then people are expressing their sexuality, infidelity, affairs, cheating, more and more divorces, mixed with the family court system, and a lot of men were losing their homes, their financial assets, losing custody of their kids. And because they were programmed to believe they were doing things the right way and they were following the rules and they'd be rewarded for it, they were devastated, heartbroken, and at rock bottom when they experienced the harsh reality of what was to come. But you move on to the current zeitgeist where the programming is the opposite of that. You hear terms like modern women are this and that, right? Avoid marriage, don't have kids, or, avoid families, avoid corporate America, college, avoid that. It's basically, when you look at RP awareness and whatnot, it's basically a programming that warns you of all the risks, but also pushes you away from women and relationships, family, and all of that. So, it goes into various angles. A pickup artist is no different than the beta programming of the red pill, or the blue pill. It's just giving guys a formula to follow so they can get laid more, but it's still part of the same programming, the same ethos, you could say, right? So anyways, you have beta programming and beta male programming, and then you have what I would call the alpha male programming, which is the opposite of that, which is the same programming though, because a red piller is just somebody that is afraid to be called blue pilled. They don't want to be called naive. They want to say, I know what's up. I know what's up. I'm RP. And an alpha male doesn't actually exist. An alpha male is just somebody that is trying so hard to resist the beta programming that they don't want to be perceived as beta, so they're doing everything in their power to look alpha. They're 5'11", they want to say they're 6 foot. They want to make these little changes because they don't want to be perceived as beta. But this is the alpha beta programming. It's all part of the same paradigm, the red pill, blue pill, all of it, pick up. So that is the beta programming that is taking place in the current zeitgeist, if that makes sense. You also have a different programming that some men have, which is the stallion programming, the stallion mindset. So you can't give red pill awareness to somebody that has a stallion mindset. You can't talk red pill, blue pill, alpha, beta. You can't warn them about anything. They don't care. They view themselves like a Johnny Bravo. They're here to show off and show out. They approach the sexual market with the mindset of a breeder. They approach the sexual market believing that they're God's gift, and they're here to hook up with hot women, to make money, to show off and show out. These are celebrities, professional athletes. The manosphere would call them Chads, Tyrones, and they usually associate those two terms with looks, but it goes beyond that. They have Brads. What do they say? Pookie and Ray Ray. There's all sorts of terms for guys that aren't good looking but still have a stallion mindset. The stallion approaches the sexual market to breed, to get the hot women, get the hot chicks, brah. And you can say, no, you don't want to do that. You're going to get this girl pregnant and you're going to be paying child support. The stallion says, I don't give a shit. I'll get married if I want to get married. If I get divorced, she takes the house, the riches, the kids. I'm still a stallion. I'll still go back out there, get back on the track, and I'll still be showing off, showing out, and breeding with the hot women. These are the Tom Brady types, right? Tom Brady gets married to a supermodel, divorces his supermodel wife, doesn't shed a tear, doesn't give a flying shit. Just replaces her with a younger, hotter model. So this is the stallion programming, and regular guys sometimes have the stallion programming as well. Some of them are good looking, they're Chads. Some are very regular, very average looking, or even below average looking. Some could be delusional. That's why they have these terms, Pookie and Brad and whatever, right? So this guy doesn't give a shit about red pill, blue pill. He has a completely different program going on in his brain. He's a totally different animal. And then you have your psychic programming. And I don't mean, when I say psychic, I don't mean mysticism and spiritual magic. I mean, these are guys that are critical thinkers. They're so good at critical thinking that they predict things before they happen. They're so far ahead of the curve. They are so innovative and so creative and intelligent that people believe that they have some sort of, out of this world gift. These are the types that end up being these tech billionaires, I don't have to say any names, all of them. Owners of social media companies, tech companies, Apple, Tesla, whatever, right? They have a certain programming that the average person doesn't have. It's not necessarily that they're smarter than you, it's that they're programmed differently. Their programming is a bit different. Now, on the woman's side, nowadays a lot of women are under this sort of sex kitten programming. And these are the women that a lot of times they'll be, OnlyFans girls. They're on Instagram, half naked. There's a trend that I see a lot of. I see women out there that will be full-grown women in their 20s, maybe even 30s, and they have a full-size bed, sometimes a twin-size bed, decorated all nice and neat, and dressed in a cute dress and makeup looking like a doll, and they have a stuffed animal unicorn in the background, or a different stuffed animal like a large teddy bear in the background. And we're talking 29-year-old girls doing this shit. And when you see them in public, the look they have in their eyes is very sexual, very flirtatious. They have this certain wiring going on in their brain. And it's strange, but I'm seeing a lot of this out there in the world. The boss babe programming. These are women that have been taught that they don't need a man, and that they should be educated and powerful. And they shouldn't be prioritizing family. They should instead prioritize their own education and their own financial well-being. And obviously, when a woman has that programming, her desire to settle down and get married is going to be very low. It's not high on the priority list. And those two groups make up for a very high percentage of women in this zeitgeist. You know, not very many women have the motherly programming going on anymore. It's strange, you know, it's interesting to look at. But why am I even talking about this? What's the point in talking about this? Well, there's a reason why people like consuming all sorts of content on the internet, on all the platforms. And before the internet was around, or before social media was around, there's something I noticed a lot of. And I don't think that previous generations had this, but mine did. I had a lot of friends that were into cartoons. They were into anime and superheroes and, I don't know, Transformers and stuff like that. Now, for an 8 or a 9-year-old, yeah, cartoons are cool. But for me, by the time I was a teenager, I didn't care about cartoons anymore. I didn't care about superheroes. But the overwhelming majority of the people I knew would watch superheroes. They would watch cartoons. I just couldn't help but think, what's the point? What are you guys watching this stuff for? What do you get out of this? And it's just, you know, I don't know if they were programmed to watch it, or watching it was what was programming them and feeding them to continue watching it, but they were stuck on it. Didn't make any sense to me. Well, now we have algorithms and content creation. So people are going down these algorithms. Modern women are delusional, and why you should avoid relationships in modern women. And most of the people consuming this content don't really even have any experience in dating or relationships. You know, they're just consuming a specific type of programming, and it's pulling them into it. It's causing them to think this way. So, think about your mindset and who you are, male or female, and what your programming currently is, and what trajectory that's going to lead you down, because decades go fast, you know, and if you're just stuck in one current mindset for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, and 10 years, 15 years, even if that mindset generates you a lot of wealth and gives you a lot of social skill and popularity, is it actually giving you a fulfilling life, or is that programming what's holding you back? You know, because like I said in the beginning, the programming that my friends had growing up was not one that was going to satisfy me. You know, I couldn't stay in the hometown going to the same bars, taking part in the same bullshit every day over and over again. That's not something I could do. But it's something they can do because they don't know any different. They don't know any better. They've just been programmed that way. The changes were made to their device, and they just stuck with it. But the thing about a social circle, as I was saying, it's synonymous with drinking partners in the modern world. A lot of passport bros are leaving the United States to try to find a better way. The truth is about passport bros, this is some real shit. They're escaping modern issues by going to less developed countries. And a less developed country just means they're about 20 years behind the country that they come from. So they're basically going back in time 20 years to a simpler place. The problem is the walls are going to close in on them there too. It's only a matter of time. Watch. The thing about a social circle in general, it's a concept that's only 100 years old. The reason why you would need a tribe in the old world is for protection and safety. In the northern areas, they had wolves and bears. In the east, they had Bengal tigers and Komodo dragons. In southern areas, they have tigers and panthers and cheetahs, leopards. It was a rough world. You had to have a tribe and you had to have a pack to protect you. A lion will destroy you by yourself, but if you've got a pack of 20 people, you can make it. You can outsmart it. You and the tribe can collect resources and goods and exchange them with each other and take care of each other. That was the purpose of a tribe. But, a lot has changed, and it changed fast. From, for 3,000 years or more, technology didn't really change much. They might have had horses and carriages, little small homes to live in, bins to collect resources in, a little bit of tools and weaponry, but just basic architecture and very basic engineering. That's all they had. And in 1821, electricity was invented, and that was a game changer. Industrial Revolution, all these machines and new architecture and engineering, the automobile, the airplane, trains, the telephone, radios, refrigeration, all of these different inventions that really provided as game changers. And we no longer needed a tribe to survive. Instead, we viewed human interaction as pleasure, as something that was fun to do. And now we think we're empty if we don't have a lot of it. But we've completely lost touch of what it was actually invented for, or what the reason for it was, what its purpose was, I should say. But you fast forward from 1821 to about the 1980s, again, there wasn't very much advancement. It was basically just reinventing the wheel. Cars were getting faster and more fuel efficient. Planes were getting larger, able to carry more people. But the technology wasn't changing. It was just better engineering, more innovative ways of releasing the same product. But then when the internet came out, and social media, and AI, the speed that we're moving at now. Put it like this, it used to take one person to invent something, and then it would take years to engineer the plan to turn it into, to put the plan into fruition and make it happen. And then it would take years to manufacture this product. And, it was a difficult process. Now we have AI. You program AI to make the inventions, and instead of one invention per 10 years, now we have 10,000 inventions per second. You know, that's the rate that we can move at now. A lot of people are scared of what may come. You know, they see movies like Terminator, Skynet type stuff. And who knows? But, you know, that's where we're at. That's what we're looking at. That's the new world. That's what we're facing. So, with that being said, how important is a social life really? I'm in some sort of a airplane route here. I think I'm between Tulsa International Airport and Dallas International Airport. So we get a lot of airplanes. But the Tulsa Airport is a good 15 to 20 miles that way. So I don't see why they're so low when they pass. Pain in the ass when I'm trying to make videos. But yeah, the purpose of a group of friends and a social life is kind of diminished quite a bit, hasn't it? And with the modern advent of social media, most people, you know, try to keep it PG-13, but most guys would rather watch the game at home, order some Uber Eats, and jack off to internet porn than they would going out on a date, buying drinks, and putting all this time and effort into hooking up with a chick off a Tinder. You know, that's the world that we live in now. But again, it all comes from the programming that you're putting in your mind. I like the real thing. Speaking of the real thing, man, in the early days of Tinder, I'll just drop a little piece of info before we shut this one off. In the early days of Tinder, we used to go on the bodybuilding MISC forums where Ziz and all of them were at. And people would go in there telling stories with each other about how they were punching up hard on Tinder. Like 2014, dudes would be losers, unattractive losers hooking up with really hot chicks on Tinder. Be sharing pickup lines and pictures and stories, and you know, it's good times. I like to live in that ethos. Like, I like to stay there. And really, that's kind of what my content is, a big ball of that stuff. The bodybuilding MISC forum used to say MISC, you aware? And it had a picture of Bert from Bert and Ernie. Funny stuff, you should look it up. Alright guys, I'm just fucking rambling at this point, but you know, when we're almost 30 minutes in, that's really all we have left. The sun's gone down, it's pretty dark out here. But this was a nice little conversation we had, and the shit has definitely been shot. So I guess we'll go ahead and shut this one off now. I do hope this video was somewhat informative. And that's about it for tonight, guys. Until next time, see ya.